They're going after Joe Rogan hardcore. Spotify CEO defends keeping transphobic Joe Rogan podcast online. This is from Vice. Multiple sources inside Spotify describe an all hands meeting in which Spotify CEO Daniel Ek discussed the company's handling of the controversial podcaster. They had to have an emergency meeting, all because of the DNC. Wow, that's insane. In a Spotify all hands company meeting on Wednesday, Spotify CEO Daniel Ek defended keeping transphobic content from hugely popular podcaster Joe Rogan on the audio platform, who earlier this year signed an exclusive licensing deal with the company likely worth tens of millions of dollars. Some staff inside the company feel alienated by Spotify's hosting of certain the Joe Rogan Experience episodes, according to copies of some of the questions presented to the meeting obtained by Motherboard. The news signals how Spotify, as it moves into the podcasting space beyond music, is facing content moderation decisions, more commonly associated with social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter. Spotify has already removed JRE episodes with some right-wing figures, including Alex Jones and Gavin McInnes. Oh boy. Uh-oh. In the case of Joe Rogan, a total of 10 meetings have been held with various groups and individuals to hear their respective concerns, X said. They've had more than 10 meetings? According to three sources, and some of them want Rogan removed because of things he said in the past. Okay, so there's internal pressure at Spotify right now to get rid of Rogan. Do you work at Spotify? And they're asking people if you work there to tell them your story. Vice is. These sources provided Motherboard with some of the questions submitted to the town hall meeting. Motherboard granted them anonymity as they weren't authorized to speak to the press about internal Spotify issues. Two of the questions submitted for the Q&A section of the meeting highlight some of the Spotify employees' concerns around Joe Rogan's content. One of the submitted questions was, many LGBTQAI plus / ally Spotifyers feel unwelcome and alienated because of leadership's response in JRE conversations. What is your message to those employees? Another was, why has Spotify chosen to ignore Spectrum's ERG's guidance about transphobic content in the JRE catalog, referring to a group of Spotify workers who focus on related issues? At the meeting, Ek also told employees not to leak to the media. Nothing if we can't have open, confidential debates. We will have to move those discussions to closed doors. Others have concerns specifically over a recent episode, Ek said, and Joe Rogan and the episode in question have been reviewed extensively. The fact that we aren't changing our position doesn't mean we weren't listening. It just means we made a different judgment call. The specific episode of the Joe Rogan Experience Ek was referring to was from July, in which Rogan interviewed Abigail Schreier, author of the book Irreversible Damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters. According to one of the sources, from the opening moments of that podcast, Schreier associates transgender youth with those with autism. Schreier and Rogan spend parts of the episode explaining that young people are being pressured into transitioning by YouTube and other media. You realize that people are not looking at this objectively, Rogan said in the podcast. They are activists and they have this agenda. And the agenda is very ideological driven, that anybody who even thinks they might be trans should be trans, are trans, and the more trans people, the better. In the book, Schreier invalidates the lived experience of trans people by comparing transitioning to adolescent phenomena like eating disorders, self-harm, or the occult, according to Men's Health. She also described wanting to transition as a contagion with the potential to infect other children, an entirely scientific, baseless idea, Men's Health noted. At Spotify, we are strongly committed to the LGBTQ plus community and diversity in all forms, a Spotify spokesperson told Motherboard. All employees are respected, and we believe that everyone has a right to be heard. We have a number of forms for open, and transparent discussion. And we encourage rigorous debate, on topics across the company. All content on Spotify is subject to our long-standing content guidelines. Our diverse team of experts reviewed the content in question and determined that it did not meet the criteria for removal from our platform. The fact that we aren't changing our position doesn't mean we aren't listening. It just means we made a different judgment call. At the time of writing, the Shreya episode is on Spotify. The company has made content moderation decisions to not port several older JRE episodes to the platform. However, episodes 911 and 1255, both which feature Alex Jones, are not hosted on Spotify. In 2018, Spotify removed Alex Jones' own podcast from its platform for hate content. Spotify is also not hosting episodes in which Rogan interviewed far-right personalities Gavin McInnes and Chuck Johnson. The Spotify catalog does include episodes featuring Stefan Molyneux, who says he's racist or something, and he's banned from YouTube. Joe Rogan has given people like this access to a gigantic audience, and Rogan rarely challenges his guests on their views, allowing them to launder their bad ideas on his show. Data and society researcher Becca Lewis has argued that Rogan giving a platform to these people has led to his audience down more extremist rabbit holes on YouTube. Lewis describes Rogan as a libertarian influencer with mainstream appeal. In another recent episode, Rogan explained a joke he made in 2016 about Caitlyn Jenner's transition, describing Jenner as he and using her dead name Bruce. Rogan also mischaracterized the reason for Jenner's transition, saying it may have been because she was around her daughters Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner, that he describes as crazy. He's a homophobic, transphobic ass, Jenner told TMZ this week. I've been gender dysphoric my entire life. As recently as August 31st, in what he said was the first episode of the podcast for Spotify, Rogan joked that the Democratic Party just want to talk shit and make sure everyone is trans. He followed that up by saying, I don't mean that trans people, I'm with you. He also said that my only pushback is about trans people competing as females and fighting. Rogan is a UFC commentator and was referring to his long-standing objection to a trans woman fighting other women in MMA. In recent days, Donald Trump has said he would be willing to go on JRE to debate Joe Biden. Wednesday, Trump sent an email to his supporters in which he asked them to sign a petition to demand Joe Biden come out of his basement and agreed to a live 4-hour debate with President Trump on Rogan. Damn, I didn't know Trump sent that petition out. Joe Rogan announced his move to Spotify in May. The JRE debuted on Spotify on September 1st and will become exclusively available on the platform later this year, according to a statement from Spotify at the time. In his announcement, Rogan said Spotify want me to just continue doing it the way I'm doing it right now, and added, it's just a licensing deal, so Spotify won't have any creative control over the show. Oh yeah, they will. It sounds like they have a lot of creative control, meaning they just won't put episodes up. And when he becomes exclusive, there's not anywhere else they can really be put up. I don't know if this is going to end well for Rogan. Because like I said, this is the DNC. It all has to do with Donald Trump agreeing to do that debate. And now the media can't just go ask Joe Biden. Donald Trump said he's down. Are you going to be down, Joe Biden? So now you see the Sonny Hostins and them already trying to bake in this excuse of Joe Rogan's a transphobe. We won't go on there. Like, please, dude. Please. So now Rogan, they had to have meetings. All hands on deck meetings, 10 separate meetings. There's internal pressure happening inside Spotify to try and take down Joe Rogan. I don't know if he survives this. Well, he'll always be fine, but I mean, what's the contract like? Can Spotify just cut the contract? I guarantee you, Rogan got guarantees in there. So that wouldn't be in their interest, I would assume. Or would it be like some weird Opie and Anthony thing? Remember, Opie and Anthony got removed from the air, but CBS still had to pay them. but they couldn't go on the air. So could that happen with Rogan? Let's say it's a 3-year deal. Something else happens or whatever, and they're like, all right, we're not going to post Joe Rogan stuff, but since we're still paying him, he can't post content anywhere else. I don't know. But this is very fascinating. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.